Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's July 10th. These are your headlines. We're really starting to see some offshore action percolating now across New England. We're seeing mahi, we're seeing tilefish, we're seeing bluefin tuna. Some of the best striper fishing of the week is going on in the Monomoy rips. We're seeing slot-sized fish and some overslots on squid there. And for you bottom fishermen, the best spot to find fluke is still out in western Long Island Sound, but we're seeing a surprising number of summer tog. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys, and this news report is going to sort of start on a solemn note. I just want to talk quickly about a great guy that I sent a lot of photos into the magazine. I used to see him at shows all the time. We always had great conversations about fishing, and he recently went down to Washington, D.C. to start an internship with a senator, and he was tragically killed in a drive-by shooting. This Eric Tartinian Giacium was his name, just 21 years old, and I just wanted to make sure to mention him in the video this week. He was one of the good ones, and certainly gone too young. And just wanted to put that out there so that everyone could have his family in their thoughts, and to acknowledge just a great guy who was also a great fisherman. Segueing out of that, I want to remind everybody that sea bass season is now open in Connecticut. Opened on July 8th, and so we're back to regular summer season at this point. I just want to remind everybody about that. Now let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today we are continuing with the Super Fluker Challenge by unveiling the third installment of catching your fluke, and we already did catching a fluke on a bucktail, catching a fluke on a teaser, but now, drum roll please, I am having you guys submit your fluke catches caught on live bait. And I'm also going to share with you guys my top 3 live baits that I like to use for fluke and how to get them. Starting off with the cult classic Killies. Now, of course, a lot of these baits are available at tackle shops, so support your local tackle shops if they carry live bait, but you can get them yourselves with Killies. You can catch them in little minnow traps. You can put in some little breadcrumbs. They love to eat breadcrumbs. They love their carbs, and it bulks them up for big fluke too. And of course, there's a cult classic picture of me when I was very little at the inlet with a big fluke that I caught. Not on the Barbie rod that I'm holding, but I did catch it on an old conventional where we were using Killies to catch those big fish in a special hole at that spot that still stands to this day. So it's a very good spot when you have Killies, and fluke just absolutely devour them. So that's one live bait that you can get a doormat fluke on. Bait number 2 is, sometimes I just prefer catching them before even using them for fluke, is spot. I love catching spot at my local little docks and piers, and I use a sabiki rig, and I bait the sabiki rig with the Fish Bites bloodworms, and you cut them into little tiny pieces to fit on those little tiny sabiki hooks, and you drop it down and you wait. And what I do is I cut my sabikis in half, so instead of playing with 6 hooks, I only have to deal with 3 because those fish will thrash around and that just causes a big mess. But catching those little fish on a sabiki and a light tackle rod and reel are so much fun. And if you catch spot, sometimes they can be like pretty big, like some guys use them for stripers and even tuna, so they do get big. You know, if you're using it for fluke and you get a fish on, that's a big fluke because they're swallowing that whole spot. So you could guarantee a doormat when you use spot for bait. And the last bait that I like to use, especially when I'm fluking off the beach, sand fleas, little tiny sand fleas. If you saw the video I did a couple weeks ago where I went fluking off the beach, the sand fleas were washing up. I had a fluke spit up a sand flea after I caught it, but they make a great live bait for fluking off the beach. I mean, obviously, you know the expression match the hatch, and that's one thing I recommend. When you're fluking on the beach, look at your surroundings, see what's being washed up, because most likely those fish are feeding on it, not just fluke, but resident stripers. They're feeding on the sand fleas. And then when you're off on the boats, cut open those fish that you just caught, look in their tummies and see what they've been eating too, so you can match the hatch for your next trip out. But just like the other two super fluker challenges, you're gonna take pictures of your catches, email them to me, and then, you know, let me know what you caught them on. If you didn't use a live bait I mentioned, maybe you're using live shrimp, let me know. As long as it's a legal live bait to use, let me know what it is. And hopefully, with this fluke bite heating up, you still have some months to go through. I hope to see some big fluke submissions. I have seen some big ones sent in from the bucktail and teaser categories, but now that we've opened up to the realm of live bait, I'm looking forward to seeing some doormats. So thank you guys. I will catch you on next week's open boat, and good luck fluking.
Now let's check in with our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the Dreamboat Challenge and the Coastal Kayak Clash.
Now it's time for the Dreamboat update. We had an entry from Long Island subscriber John Rotondi of Brooklyn, New York, weighing in his porgy of 3 pounds at Bernie's Bait and Tackle, placing John in the top spot in the porgy category. So the leaderboard stands at a three-way of 17 points each, with Jeffrey Harrison in third place, Thomas Luciano placing second. Still in first is Rashawn Williams taking that top spot. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com. Dave's on vacation, so I'm filling in. It was a slower week in the Coastal Kayak Clash, but the few fish that hit the board made for big changes on the leaderboard. Newcomer Rotha Nog made his big debut with a category-leading tog at 21.25 inches. Dustin Stevens continued his dominance with a second-place porgy measuring at 16.5 inches. The top of the leaderboard now looks quite a bit different. Larry Newman now holds third place with 3 points. Tom Howard drops to second place with 6 points, and Dustin Stevens widens his lead to 9 total points. Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
And the last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing. I got an absolutely killer photo this week, which is definitely going to contend. So, you know, up your game. If you guys don't know what's going on with these giveaways, I'm giving away, well, I do these giveaways every few months. You know, they sort of last a segment of the fishing season. This is for our summer segment. And we're giving away some Super Strike lures that were custom painted for me in memory of another friend of mine, Don Robertson, who passed away in April. And these are painted to his spec, you know, colors that he really believed in. He was a big top water guy, and these plugs are made in tribute to him. And all you got to do is take a great fishing photo. It doesn't matter if it's a tilefish caught offshore or if it's a largemouth bass caught here in Great Sacandaga Lake, where I'm vacationing this week. But you just got to take a nice photo of you holding your fish. This background would be certainly acceptable. You want to try to take a shot that exemplifies New England fishing. You're going to send it to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. Just tell me you want to be in the contest. If you send an email, definitely put contest or giveaway in the subject line. It makes it easier for me to sort of search them out and make my decision. This one's going to wrap up on August 27th, which is the last Wednesday in August. So send them in to me and we'll see who wins. Moving over into the reports now, striper fishing up in Maine has really started to improve. We're starting to see some much nicer fish. We're seeing a lot of slot-sized fish out there right now, and getting great reports again, which is sort of what I've been predicting for the last couple of weeks. I had a little lull there. Now things are picking back up. Guys are doing well off of the beaches out there. They're doing well with chunk mackerel. They're doing well with sandworms. They're also doing really well with topwater plugs at first light, and we're seeing sizes ranging from, you know, schoolies all the way up into the low 40-inch class. And things are firing on all cylinders there again. Drop it down over the border into Massachusetts. Let's check in now with Kevin Hoang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin checking in with the weekly report. The mouth of the Merrimack's been on fire. There's been a lot of blitzing going on. There's been big schools of mackerel moving in and out. So the boat guys are chasing them down. Some of the shore guys, when the fish are pushing through, are doing really well. So the boat guy and the shore guy have been doing good, getting into some of the blitzing. I heard fish from like 28 to 35 inches, and there's some larger specimens caught. And then a lot of guys on the boats are trolling mackerel too on the ocean front. And then if you're gonna go back into the river, I would suggest tube and worm, because tube and worm always a producer. Like striped bass can't turn up a tube and worm. And there's been also freshwater fishing's been pretty good. I heard of some nice channel cats caught upriver. So if you want to target them, you can do some live bait, or you can do night crawlers, chicken hearts, chicken gizzards, that type of bait for the channel cats up there. We don't get them like down south, but we do have some certain specimens. But striper fishing is good as of right now. I mean, going into the dog days of summer, usually it starts to slow down, but because of all the bait getting pushed around, it has the bass all corralled up around there. And then down towards Gloucester, guys been doing pretty decent also. Even all the way down the North Shore to Boston, the different crews of guys I know that have been fishing, been getting into some decent fish. At night on plugs, needlefish plugs, metal lip swimmers, SP minnows, and then obviously the live eel has been ultimate producer for guys that are like strictly eel, even though I'm a plug guy by heart. Needlefish all the way. I'll see you guys next week.
Now let's drop down into Boston and we'll check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with the bite from Boston. This week, Boston's still holding strong. Lots of stripers out there. Couple of bluefish moved in. Not many, but we should start seeing more and more as the water warms up a bit. Last week we were out there, we got a 49-inch striper. It's a fish of a lifetime. Some people, you know, fish their whole lives and don't get a fish like that. You know, there's plenty of schoolies in the mix. You know, one of the best things though, take a kid fishing. You put a kid on a 40-inch bass, on a 45-inch bass, that kid's changed. Right? You just, you know, showed him a sport that, you know, that we love. You know, I was that kid. You know, I remember being on our boat and hooking into a bluefish that damn near ripped me out of the boat. here I am, 30 years later, still at it. It's what we do, it's what we love. And, getting younger kids in the mix, out there, getting them, to successfully catch fish, right? That's what it's all about. Right now, in the Chelsea Police Department does a program called Cops and Barbers, where, they take younger kids out, and, the Chelsea Police Department lets them fish out of their boat, and they catch some really good fish. I mean, it's an incredible program. These kids are so pumped to get out there and go fishing and do something, and it's such a good thing that they're doing. So kudos to the Chelsea Police Department for putting that program on. There should be so many more like it. What else? Heading offshore tomorrow, 4 a.m. Gonna try and do some ground fishing. Haven't been offshore in a little bit. So I'm excited to see what's out there. I'm sure we'll find some ground fish, maybe a shark or two. And I'll catch up with you guys next week with that report. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Stay safe, take a kid fishing, and I'll catch you on the next one.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
What I've been mostly hearing from freshwater fishermen in central Massachusetts, and that really kind of extends into interior parts of Connecticut and Rhode Island, is that the largemouth bass fishing has been leading the way right now, which is, pretty typical for this time of year. We've had a lot of warm weather. We've got a lot of vegetation growing along the shorelines here. And guys throwing frogs are doing really well. Guys that are throwing soft plastics or jigs with a soft plastic trailer are doing really well. And we're even seeing some nice fish that are being caught on swim baits right now. Some of these fish are getting up into the 5 to 6 pound range, but I would say the average fish is more like 1 to 3, which is quite typical. But the fishing's been very good, the action's been good, and the numbers have been really good. Heading down more toward the Plymouth coastline, in the Cohasset area, Cohasset Harbor in particular, just outside the harbor, there's been a lot of really big striped bass this week. We're seeing fish up into the 50-inch class. I haven't heard of a fish that eclipsed 50 pounds, but I wouldn't be surprised if those fish are there. And guys have been doing exceptionally well up there. There's a lot of bait in that area. There's a lot of mackerel around, which is keeping these fish around. We're seeing a lot of morning blitzes with a lot of really big fish. So that's definitely an area you're going to want to keep an eye on this week. As we head down toward the canal and then cross over, the bayside beaches have picked back up this week with a lot of slot-sized striped bass. Guys are doing well with crystal minnows, guys are doing well with SP minnows, guys are doing well with all different kinds of slender baits. Also the Albie Snacks XL have been crushing it out there. Also, rounding the tip of the Cape and down the outer beaches, I haven't gotten as many reports this week. It doesn't mean it's not red hot out there, it could be. Just not hearing from my guys out there this week. But as we get down toward the Monomoy rips, things are really firing off there as well. There's a lot of squid in the rips, and we're talking big numbers. Guys are doing well on top waters, are doing well, again, with their Albie Snacks XL and sort of an amber color or a white. And we're seeing guys doing well with parachute jigs and things like that as well. These fish there's a lot of keeper size fish, a lot of slots out there, and a lot of fish right around the slot. And then you got another sort of class of fish that's in that low 40-inch class, and the bite's been very good. Looking out toward the Nantucket shoals, haven't heard a lot of reports this week. It's been very windy, which has probably kept a lot of people from making that longer run. I guarantee you, though, as things start to calm down again, that bite will fire right back up. And then I heard from a few guys that made canyon runs this week that the fish has been very good off of, out by Atlantis and places like that. We got guys getting some mahi out there. There's been some bluefin out there. I've been hearing about a little bit of bigeye as well. And, it's just getting to be that season. We get these good spells of weather. Guys make a long run, and they're cashing in. Heading down into Nantucket Sound, shore fluking's been good in the mouths of a lot of these inlets and then along some of the beaches. And boat fluking, of course, has been, let's say it's just been chugging along. It hasn't been exceptional, but it's been good. Guys are getting a lot of fish. They're just not always getting a lot of keeper-sized fish. So Nantucket Sound, Vineyard Sound, that's kind of been the deal there. Bonito, numbers are kind of tapering off out around the vineyard and getting into Buzzards Bay. They're still around, just not that big initial push that we saw. Things are starting to slow down a little bit there. One spot that's been pretty good for fluke has been the Mashnee Flats. Definitely weeding through a lot of shorts there, but there's plenty of big, good sized keepers in that area as well. And then moving up toward the canal, seems like the canal is going through a little bit of a metamorphosis right now. Not a lot of topwater action, not a lot of jigging action. It's kind of going old school. A lot of guys are chunking right now, and that seems to be the best way to find fish, especially for fishing down toward the east end. And for a little bit more on that, let's check in now with East End Eddie.
Hi, Dave. It's too hot on the canal today, so I'm at my workshop down in my basement where it's nice and cool. So the canal's still been very slow, but notwithstanding lack of catches, Bo McKinnon caught some fish the other day. He got into some fish just before the holiday for about 3 days, and he was catching schoolies, slots, and some bigger. And Bo was throwing his tsunami bunker shad that he does very well with, and he had seen peanut bunker, and mackerel in the canal along his route. And Ben, the potato manager at Sullivan, was chunking in an afternoon east rising tide, and he caught a slot and a fish that was almost a slot. Ben and his father, who I've fished with many times, have an unusual method of chunking. They fillet a mackerel, and they use the mackerel fillet for bait. I've never heard of that before or seen anybody else do it, but they're very successful at it. There were some days when I was fishing with his father, nobody catch anything, but his dad would. So I want to congratulate St. Wayne Cole, who is now a grandfather for the first time. The baby's name is Jameson, and he'll undoubtedly grow up to be a canal rat. So you can see in St. Wayne riding along the service road with he's got the skeleton of a deer with the antlers mounted on the front of his canal bike. Kind of makes for a eerie scene when you see him riding out of the fog. Great guy, great fisherman. So my wife reached into the freezer, took out what she thought was chicken, and put it in the microwave to defrost it. Well, a putrid smell enveloped the whole kitchen. It was disgusting. She opened the microwave only to discover it wasn't chicken. It was squid. And it was squid that I had intended to accompany my eagle claw circle hook to the bottom of the canal. But I didn't label it, and that was my fault. So my tip of the week is, if you're going to keep frozen bait in the freezer at your home, make sure you label it with big black letters, BAIT. So until next time, catch a big one.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
And then heading out into Western Buzzards Bay, seeing a lot more good-sized sea bass coming out of Western Buzzards Bay. Seems like the striper bite might be tapering off just a little bit. And Jason Colby was talking about finding some better fluke this week as well. And that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecki.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys. Quick report for you from a little bit from the East Bay, a lot of it from Mount Bay, a little bit of Sakana River, excuse me. We'll start up in the upper East Bay. Warren and Barrington, a little slow right now with striped bass. There are a lot of small fish up inside of there. Some small scupper, I guess, have moved up inside of some of the low part of the river, Rumstick Point, Jacobs Point area. Seeing lots of sea robins up in that area too. My friend Frank has been fishing from the Barrington Bridge, trying to catch some fluke. He said they've been really, really small fluke up inside the Barrington River. And I'm talking like 12 inches, 13 inches, which is small. We really haven't seen the influx of fluke come inside of the bay like we normally would by this time of the year. I've gone back and I've looked at my timeline, and I've gotten several bigger fish underneath the Mount Hope Bridge or even on Common Fence Point that, have been measurable fish. And haven't seen that inside the bay yet. but I know it's coming. But one thing there is no shortage of, and that's big pogies and big stripers. From all the way from up in the Taunton River, Somerset Marine, there's been a lot of pogies just congregating right up there, all the way out into Mount Hope Bay, Coles River, Spar Island, the mouth of the Kickamulet. There's a lot of pogies inside of that part of the bay right now, and there's a lot of bass on them. I literally fished out there on Saturday, and nobody else was out there fishing for them. We had all these striped bass to ourselves, and we had fish over slot. We had keeper size. We had a couple that were under. Most of the fish were big. There are some big fish on these big schools of pogies that are inside Mount Hope Bay. So for this week, I think your best bet is continue to fish in Mount Hope Bay on those striped bass, and continue to look for fluke and more sea bass to get inside of the bay via the Sakonnet River coming in. I did have one trip out to Sachets Point. We did some sea bassing and we did some fluke fishing. I found some new grounds out there. We used a 3D scan, and we found a nice piece of structure about 5 miles south of Sakonnet Point. And let me tell you, we got on some big fluke out there. And basically we were out there by ourselves again. It kind of looked like a spot that really no one fished, but we saw some nice little humps. It was a sandy bottom, and there was some big fluke on them. So we did capitalize on that, and we had a great time doing that. So for this week from the East Bay, that's what we got, Dave. Talk to you next week. Tight lines, guys.
The main thing in Rhode Island is still striped bass fishing. Striper fishing has been very good. Everything's moved out front for the most part. However, I have heard that there's been a little bit of a stronghold of striped bass that are hanging around up in the Providence area. The water temps up there have got to be way up there. I would say they're in the mid-70s at least. But you got a lot of really deep water there, which they may just be staying deep and keep them cool down there. There's bunker up there, which is keeping them fat and happy. So that's one place you can go if you don't want to head all the way out front to find some fish. But heading out front is producing some really big fish. We're seeing fish up into the 50 and even 60-pound class. And for a little bit more on that, we'll check in with our field correspondents, starting with Coral Aiello from Sara Star Charters.
Hi Dave, Coral here from Sara Star Charters with the Rhode Island Fishing Report. Got to make this kind of quick. I'm in between trips right now at my dock. But the fishing has been really excellent. There's a lot of big fish around. I mean, I know last time I talked to you, we had landed our first 60-plus pound fish, and then literally a week later we did it again, which was insane. I have never seen so many big fish. They were over like 55 inches long, and just an insane fish to see, not once but twice. And then right after that we actually landed a 50-pound fish that was 51 inches. I mean, it's just crazy out there right now. There's just so much going on. There's still so much activity up the bay too, like north of the bridge. Tons of birds working pretty much throughout the whole day. Lots of slot fish and smaller fish in that mix. You know, it's just happening right now. It's just really good. The water temperature is a little cooler than it normally is this time of year, which is great, and that's probably why we're still seeing a lot of fish up the bay right now. As far as the sea bass bite goes, the sea bass bite has been pretty slow. You still have to pick through a lot of small fish to get some keepers, but you know, that's just how it is. So the fluke bite, I can't speak too much about the fluke bite. I haven't done a whole lot of fluke fishing in the last few weeks, but I know people are still doing pretty good inshore, you know, 30 to 50 feet of water, even 60 feet, getting some nice keepers. But again, you have to work through all the shorts and things like that. But that's pretty much it. And I know the tuna bite, I know some stuff was happening. It's just starting to kind of go off offshore, and that will pick up pretty soon. So that's exciting. I love tuna season. But that's pretty much it. You know, lots of stuff going on, still tons of activity up the bay, out front. You know, quality fish. It's still hard to get those keeper slots, you know, for stripers, but again, there's still a lot of activity up the bay, and those smaller fish and those slot size fish are still up there, which is pretty cool to see.
Now we'll check in with Jeff Sullivan. Here he is.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking back in this week. Well, we like to say New England, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. But I will tell you, if you're a striper guy, you live for this type of weather. You know, you get multiple fronts in the day, you know, which could go either way. It could go bad or it could go good. But right now, it's been good. The bite's been status quo, if not stellar. You know, the eel bite's been good. The topwater, the darter bites, you know, for you guys in the surf, the bucktails, It's just been good. I mean, we're getting fish from 30 to upper 40-pound class. You know, you can't complain. You really can't complain. These fish are hungry. They're very chunky, which is awesome, you know. But yeah, the bite's been good. The bluefish bite, there's a lot of big bluefish out there, guys. For you bluefish, you know, you bluefish fishermen out there, I love bluefish. I think they're awesome fish. But yeah, those two fish are out there on a prowl. So the sea bass bite's been good, 60, 65 feet of water or so. But you're gonna have to find some rock structure, rocky bottom, broken bottom, or rock piles of that nature, wrecks, stuff of that nature. You'll get the sea bass. It's usually, you know, same song, same dance with the sea bass. We have been getting fluke. A lot of shorts, but if you're patient enough, you will get those big ones. You know, we were 45 feet. We were 45 feet today, and we got fluke. But there's a lot of groundswell with the system that's pushing through. So, you know, that just had the fluke off the bottom, because all that stuff's getting stirred up off the bottom. The fluke don't really like that too much when they're trying to eat, so, or just hang out. So they're suspending off the bottom and just kind of hovering off the bottom there. So if you have a bucktail on the bottom, they might not see that. So if you have a high-low rig on, it gives them another presentation to look at and snap at. So just keep that in mind next time you're in some swells or a system like this comes through and pushes some bigger water around. But I may or may not have been hearing some algae rumblings. I can't confirm that, but I am going to throw it out there to you guys. Keep an eye open, because, you know, anything's possible. I mean, the bonito showed up earlier this year, so why not the albies? They don't have to come in, but I'm hearing rumblings, so I'm going to confirm that this week. I'm going to go look around and see if I can find some. The bonito bite has been okay. It's still, you know, it's still there. So if you guys look for bonito, they're there. They're definitely there. I noticed the bonito has been eating in the back half of a high tide, like a peak high tide going out. I noticed that's been a better bite. But as for the saltwater game, Dave, that's pretty much been it. That's pretty much been, you know, the ball game right there. As for the freshwater side of things, I've been doing a lot of smallmouth fishing, getting some nice quality smallmouth. The crappie bite's been pretty good. The white perch bite's been decent, not the best, but decent. And my tried and true largemouth are always there, and they're chewing as always. The hollow body frogs and the 10-inch power worms and the wake baits have been getting it done. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get some rest, and I'll talk to you next week. Later.
And now we'll get our Point Judith Block Island area report from Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey, it's John Lee, Point Judith, Rhode Island. We've had a bunch of bottom fish trips this week, fairly close to shore, kind of south of Point Judith, east of Narragansett, down the South Shore a little bit. The bottom bite has been peculiar this year. One tide you get the sea bass, you get a few fluke, you think you're going to generate a bite, then it dies. You go back on a different tide and it's really grindy. So the bottom bite is both good and really hard at the same time. The sea bass, we are getting them now, so some bigger sea bass showed up. You know, we're getting some jumbos, we're getting some larges. It's still, though, I'd like to see more of them. And we're getting a lot of small males that are lit up like they're adult males. So I don't know what's going on with the sea bass population, but it feels like it's almost stunted. Again, this might be local to me, kind of Point Judith area. I don't know, but it seems like we're getting a lot of small males that are, you know, sexually mature. The Block Island, the bottom bite's been slow around the island, but the bass bite and the blue bite is definitely still maintaining. We're getting bass to maybe 40 pounds. We got a bunch today on eels, daytime fish, getting some big bluefish. Again, not every tide is good, not every day is good. We go enough that we see both very good fishing and slow fishing. But the slow days, you just kind of make things happen. You do something different, you make it happen. Talk to you next time. Have a good week.
Hey, Dave, Todd, Treonze, Hooked Fishing Gear. Quick weekly fishing report. Really two areas that I've targeted over the last week or so. Give a report on a striper bite as well as a bit of a bottom bite with primarily focused on scup. So for the stripers, status quo, things continue to be good. If you think of the area out front of Newport, all the usual spots, seeing a good tube bite, seeing a great eel bite. The guys focused using eels out there, doing very well. Also seeing a good amount of action on top water. I continue to have a lot of success throwing the Albie Snacks XL on top. Any version of a larger plastic presentation on top water seems to get these fish coming up, particularly earlier in the day. You know, when you still have low light, that seems to be working really good out there. And the tube is settled into a nice all day long type of bite for the bass out front. In addition to that, I spent a little bit of time this week focusing more inside in the harbor areas around Newport, and really found some nice bite for scup. Been using smaller jigs, like 1/4 ounce jigs, with Asian crabs that I've been harvesting before I go out. And anywhere you've got structure, anywhere you've got pilings, things like that, was consistently getting scup from like 13 1/4 to like the mid 15-inch range. So it was good to see that bite as well. That's about it to report from this week. Hopefully the swell dies down a little bit for us kayak fishers and we start to see a little bit less wind and can get back out, and looks like the end of the week starts to look good again. Wish everybody some good time on the water, and stay hooked out there. Bye for now.
Fluking continues to produce pretty well across the South County beaches. Not a lot of giant fish, but guys that love fluking are weeding through the shorts. It's been like 15 to 20 to 1 as far as shorts to keepers go, but the bite's been decent. It's a good amount of bait around. We're coming into a full moon this week, which is going to fire off the breachways again for you surf guys. I think you're going to find a little uptick in activity there, and also may present some opportunities around slack water in the daytime for some increased action on fluking, just because they're going to finally get to take advantage of some slower tides. So if you're a shore fluker, this might be a good week to check that out. Other things that I've been hearing, Block Island's putting out some really nice fish, and then we've been hearing about some guys heading offshore, which is finally starting to fire up off of Rhode Island. We've seen a couple tilefish. We've seen fair numbers of bluefin tuna in that, sort of the fun size. These are not giants. These are small to medium fish, and guys are getting out there having a ball. It's been mostly on the troll, been a little bit of top water, a little bit of jigging action, but by and large, these fish are being caught on the troll, and that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Crossing over into Connecticut, a lot of what's going on in the Eastern Sound is centered around striped bass. We've got fish in the race, we've got fish in the gut, we've got fish up around the Thames River. I have not heard of any giant fish. Most of these fish are, say, 35 to 45 inches, which is a great class of fish to be fishing for. A lot of these fish are being caught on top water at first light. A lot of these fish are being caught down deep on 3-weight bucktails or diamond jigs or things like that. The bite has been very good. There's been some bluefish mixed in. Most of these bluefish have been in the, I would say, mid-range, like 5 to 8 pounds, but there's been a few, legit gators in the mix. As far as fluking goes, didn't hear a lot from the Eastern Sound. I'm certain that guys are getting some fish behind fishers out at Isabella and places like that. I'm also certain that guys are getting some fish around the mouth of the Connecticut River, like on the Sand Shoal and places like that. Just not getting a ton of reports personally. Porgy fishing has been exceptional. Guys are getting them pretty much everywhere you can find a few rocks. There's some porgies there. And there's been some good sized fish. There's been some legit hubcap sized fish even caught from shore. Getting up toward the Connecticut River, the reefs outside the river are putting out nice sized striped bass. We're seeing a good mix of sizes. We're seeing some bluefish in the mix. There's a lot of different bait species around this year. We're not seeing as many bunker, but we're seeing a lot of other things. We're seeing sand eels. We're seeing butterfish. We're seeing juvenile menhaden. And we're seeing, still some herring in the area as well, which is kind of kicking things off a little bit more when those are showing up. For a little bit more on that, let's start things off with Mike Roy from Reelcast Charters.
Hey everybody, for this week's Fisherman Report, striper fishing remains hot. The reefs along Island Sound are holding a lot of stripers, everything from slot size to big cow bass as well. We're doing well on a variety of artificials, including soft plastics, bucktails, flutter spoons. Some mornings we're getting good topwater feeds as well. It's kind of a day-to-day thing, tide-to-tide thing, but we are getting some fish on the larger topwaters as well. Even saw a few schools of schoolies feeding on small bait as well. So kind of a mixed bag. There are a few big gator blues. We got a real big one, a teen-sized bluefish today. Not a ton, but a few mixed in as well. Now that we're getting into the hot, humid summer weather, we're really starting to focus on the cow stripers, trophy stripers. We're going to be using live eels and live bunker for those. The one concern I have is there's really a lack of bunker around this year, not a lot of it, which is really concerning because typically this time of year we're loaded with bunker. But we have openings coming up for July and August. That's going to be for big stripers. So jump on the website if you're interested and check us out. That's all. Good luck.
Now let's head up the river. We'll check in with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, the typical summer weather continues here in the Connecticut River is at good flows, fairly warm water temperatures up in the mid to high 70s depending where you are. That should mean a really good morning smallmouth bite. Carp fishing should be weighted towards those low light periods, and there's a lot of showers and thunderstorms in the forecast most days. And something to be very mindful of and can cause quite good fishing is if one tributary gets a lot more rain than others. Channel catfish will often stack up downriver of those tributary mouths that get sort of either a little flash flood event or just a general bump and flow from those rains. So pay attention to those rains if you're going to go out and target channel catfish because they can really pull fish into specific areas. But generally, typical summer conditions, hot, muggy, decent fishing early and late, and just about everything's biting pretty well.
Now we'll head back down to the mouth on the other side. We'll check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Big news for today as of the filming of this video, sea bass is back open in Connecticut. A lot of people have been waiting for that, hoping that it's a little better than the front side of the season when the water was still pretty cool, but we are back open here in Connecticut. I'm expecting a lot of guys to want to go out and tangle with some sea bass. So that's always a great option. I would probably start pretty deep, 50, 60, 80, be ready to poke around as always. The good thing is those fish didn't really get beat up a ton before the closure, at least as far as I knew from customers talking about it in the shop. So there should be some good fish out there available, which is great. The striper bite is still really good. A lot of guys still going out on the deeper reefs and things like that. We're still selling a lot of spoons here. We're going through a lot of eels as well. Which I think a lot of people are using to do some three-weighing out on the reefs and also the typical summer low light drifting eels on any points or rips up shallow for free swimming those guys, which is always a lot of fun. There's been occasionally really good topwater bites out there. Yozuri Mag Pencil, the Dock, 24/7 Mully are doing really well. On choppier days you can switch to a popper to try to change that kind of surface silhouette a little bit more, draw some more attention to your bait. A lot of soft plastics as well. For the fluke bite, it's been really good. A second year in a row that we've had a really solid fluke bite. So we're going through a lot of gulp. A lot of folks are using high-low rigs. You have the teaser up top with maybe like a pork rind or a piece of squid. Down below, a lot of folks are putting a bucktail. We haven't really had like hot bucktail colors, I would say. White and pink are pretty regular sellers for us, along with chartreuse. And a lot of folks like the salmon red as well. So that's always good. Other than that, it's been pretty good out there. There's a lot to do. There's some beautiful weather ahead. We've got a really nice wind forecast coming up this week, and just really kind of in the thick of summer and enjoying the fishing. So enjoy it all. Good luck.
Some of the best fishing that we're seeing in the area for slot-sized striped bass. We talked about the Monomoy rips. That's one area that has been excellent. This is the other. The reefs in the Central Sound, Southwest, 6 Mile, all those little smaller ones, Duck Island, places like that. There's a lot of slot-sized stripers in that area. There are a lot of big fish around too, so you have a possibility of getting a photo trophy, which could win you a plug on the report here. But also lots of slot-sized fish around, which has made things really exciting for the charter guys in the area. Guys like Captain TJ Karbowski from Rock and Roll Charters, he's been killing it. His charters have been just absolutely having a ball out there, catching scup, catching sea bass, catching lots of striped bass of all sizes, and getting some bluefish in the mix as well. If you're looking to get in on that kind of action, you may want to give him a call. But that mixed bag bite has been excellent in the Central Sound. Going a little bit further west, we're still seeing really good striped bass activity. The sizes are coming down. We're not seeing as many big fish, but we're still seeing very good action. Water temps are, up into the low 70s, but there's a lot of bait around, which is keeping these fish in the area. Also, really good fluking out in the Western Sound. And for a little bit more on that, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with the weekly fishing report. This past week we had big bass, fluke, porgies are biting more and more from shore, bluefish are moving in closer, and there's a lot of mackerel still around. So locally the bass fishing is still really good on our deep water reefs, 11B, 28C, Greens Ledge, to the east, middle ground, to the west, 32A. Guys chunking throughout the night are definitely finding some quality fish. Chunking is a good bet in July, especially with the waters warming. I would stick to depths, on our deep reefs between 50 and 65, and the guys chunking shallow around the island. We've seen fish till upwards of 35 pounds now this past week, real shallow, like 10 feet chunking. So early morning guys, poppers, spooks, small swim baits working really well. Fluke, can 24, can 26. Definitely you want to be a little deeper now, 30, 40, 50. You can even start hitting places like 28C and the OB buoy this time of year with the water getting warm. So bucktails, tipped with gulp, squid, spearing, and of course fluke bellies. But you want to move around, you start marking clouds of bait. That's definitely going to be where the fluke are. So a lot of sand eels around and spearing this year. Porgies from the beaches like Half Pasture, Rhode Island, guys are fishing the pier. We're seeing more and more pictures, so that's good. Clams, sandworms, bloodworms, squid, they'll take a variety of baits. So your traditional, porgy rigs, single rigs, or high-lows. Mackerel, they're still around, so guys drifting mackerel rigs, you got to put in a little time, but place to try 28C, the deeper parts that we call the bluefish pit. It's like 120 feet, but drifting through there, you can definitely pick up some mackerel, and you can pick up some weak fish this time of year through there too. Sea bass 50 and above, so you want to be deeper than 50 foot this time of year, especially moving more and more into July. So if you have spot lock, getting on a wreck between I would say 80, even these 100-foot wrecks are great, and they'll take a variety of lures, jigs, baits, etc. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it will inspire you to get out there and take advantage of this beautiful weather. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline, whether you're a fly guy, a surf guy, an offshore guy, an inshore guy, whether you want to fish off a stand-up paddleboard. It's all covered. And you get a full year subscription is $31.95. You're going to get 12 issues sent to your house. Those are paper magazines. You're going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email, which are just like the paper magazines. They're just digital only. You're also going to get digital access to all the back issues and our other 2 editions. So if you sign up for the New England edition, which is my edition, you're also going to get digital access to the Long Island Metro edition and the New Jersey Delaware edition, which will give you a full slate of reports that cover the entire northeast coast. You'll be able to stay up on all the fishing that's going on, whether it's offshore, inshore, or even freshwater. And you can do that all for that one low price of $31.95. And I hope you guys will head over to the website and check it out. But at the very least, if nothing else, just give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.